Let's go. Real estate cash flow. I can't hear these haters where all the sound go. I went from board to guru to games. They wanna ride the way to when they get rich, but they ain't there when the shit hit. What's the deal of the day? They want a quick tip. See, y'all amazed by the big drip. See the error of your way. I'm on a roll now, and my goal.
I like the flow of it. It wasn't what I was expecting.
Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. I'm trying to get out here in different ways to educate.
If I run for the money, I'm getting chased down. They ain't believing the business, they got the faith now. If you find all the haters, look at they face down. Don't be blowing me up, homie, I ain't getting up. If it ain't about the closing. You stop hitting my lines, stop wasting my time. If it ain't about the closing. Nah, I can't even hear what you say, I didn't do it. If it ain't about the closing. You can miss me with it. You can miss me with it. Turn up. I buy it, I sell it, I flip it, I rent it, I grip on this. I used to buy.
All right, let me stop this. Where is it? All right, today I got the Criswells with me. What's up, guys?
What's going on, man?
Oh, I have the Criswells with me today. First and foremost, I thank you guys very much for your time. So I could tell a little bit to the audience how we met. My fiance went to college with both of these beautiful people, and we developed a relationship. I invest in real estate, as you guys all know. I've been doing it for over 15 years now. Wow, since I was 23, when I first got into it with actually somebody that sold them both their property, well, rented out their property, their investment property, then also just brought them their new property, right? Helped them buy their new property. And she's a realtor. It's like a sister of mine. We started off together. We met each other in an investment group, and 10 years later, 15 years later, she stopped being a chemist from Westchester, and she's a full-time realtor, and I bit her with the bug. She won't stop being an entrepreneur, and I love entrepreneurship and real estate, and I express that to everybody and try to share whatever education I have. I wanted you guys to get on here and kind of spring your experience with investing. You guys were it was your first time investing. I know you guys had a lot of high hopes. You guys had expectations. I want to know what went well, because we know things that did go well. We want to know things that did go sour, how you guys overcame those challenges, how you guys got over the anxiety or the stress of dealing with regular life, and then also investing your money, right? Putting your money out there that you guys work hard for. That's what we all do, but it's that risk that we want to kind of get ahead and put that money out to advance our lives. And, you know, you take strategic risks, but nothing happens without risk. So we all know that. So I just wanted to you guys to share some of those things. So the first question I wanted to ask you guys is, what made you guys want to invest in real estate?
I think that it's kind of like one of those things that, you know, it's kind of like a buzzword, right? You know, people hear real estate and they're like, "Ooh, you know, like that's something that, you know, people invest in, and you know, I guess they get good return." But the other part of it is the generational wealth, and Chanel more so, is fortunate to have grandparents who purchased houses, I guess in the 80s, and they're like, you know, they're all paid off and everything, and people are living in these places and being rented out, and that is like the true definition of generational wealth right there. You know, we are currently living in one of those houses, you know, that they bought. So they had the foresight to see, like, hey, you know, this is something that is going to better our family in the future, in which case it has like tenfold. So for us, we were thinking that this is something that, you know, we can take a step further, even more, even if we're just one house. Like, hey, you know, we want to see what this is about, and how we can start to plant the seed of generational wealth, so that, you know, our children are either at a better place than we are right now.
Yeah. And like what David was saying, like my grandparents had bought a lot of properties and we were renting from them for a long time in South Philly. And then when I finished grad school, it was like a gift to them to put it in our names. And we were very, very fortunate that it was already paid off. So essentially it's like, you know, we live in a like very up and coming gentrified area. And so at one hand, we could have just like, you know, okay, kept the house, lived here forever. But we said, wow, we have a very valuable piece of land in a growing neighborhood. How can we use this house and multiply our income? Because we have like the retirement accounts, like individual stocks and things like that. But from, you know, we're like new to this, but what we, you know, understood was real estate can give you like a greater return, even though it requires like a greater amount of investment to put in. So essentially we invested our house and just over 14 months, we went from being a property owner of one to now we have 3 properties. And it started with the house that we have, you know, from my grandparents. And we didn't know anything about it, but I remember Michelle kept, your fiance and my line sister, she kept sending us stuff over time, like, hey y'all, like I just flipped the house and I made money. And we're like, what? Like, this is crazy. And you know, some people might be skeptical, but because I had it in my family of the real estate, I knew like, I'm like, all right, my grandparents are doing this. So there, it has to be, you know, not like the 1 in a billion, like you were talking about earlier. So I hit up Michelle and I was like, Michelle, like, how can we get started with this? And then she introduced us to you. And it was just, you know, from there, like all the education that you gave us, which I feel like there's still so much we have to learn. But just that first step, that first risk, at the end of the day, I think the conversation was don't look at the real estate as debt per se, it's an asset. So at any point, you know, if it's like, if we're going to be homeless, we could just sell the house and be back to where we started. So it was worth it. So
absolutely. So I want to touch on a couple of things you guys said there, because you said a couple of jewels there. But first and foremost, just as a people, is very, very good to have investments for your last name. It's not so much about our first names, right? So we know we have Chanel here, we know we have David here, but the Criswells will go on for a very long time. You guys have 2 boys. So so it will go on for a very long time. So you guys want to be able to have that family tree grow, and you want to be one of the persons that add another branch onto that family tree. And a lot of times that doesn't happen as much, or it's not highlighted as much in our culture, right? A lot of times it's more of a focus to go out and be independent and do it on your own immediately. And why do you have to lean on me? And maybe I could use your help when you get out of this house, right? And that is not the way, right? The way is to really have investments out there so you can leverage, because when you're out in college and I wasn't able to go to college, but all you guys went to college, and you can see other races, and we assume that they have the same road that we had, but a lot of times they haven't, right? They were left investments, and sometimes they assume the same thing about us. Well, when you got Chanel, and she has been left investments, so you got to correct them. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I did have investments coming out. So I wanted to be a point where it's not even an assumption that we all are focused on doing that. And that's one of the things I really, really preach. So I love that you guys are about that energy and about that spirit. At the end of the day, there's people that, like myself, which people consider an aggressive investor, or people that do it all the time. And we have to get short returns a lot of times, but individuals like you guys, if you get 3 or 4 properties and just let them sit and doing the work that you guys do at your 9 to 5s, and then Ducky is a successful photographer as well. I mean, you guys are going to have a real nice nest egg with investment. So you guys don't have to be as aggressive as me. You guys can play the long term, whereas though you can sit something, because if you sit on real estate, no matter what, it's going to go up. It's just a matter if you want to make money in 3 months, a year, 2 years. And for me, a lot of times I focus on that, but I also have the long-term investments where it's a lot less stress. Once I buy it, it is what it is. I maintain it, and then it will bring me my money back, or I'll refinance back. And then when they turn 18, like this property, we're going to leave soon, and I'm going to rent it out. And when they turn 18, they're going to be able to live here, you know what I mean, together until they figure out their situation. You know, I'll kick that person out, and they're like, y'all can live here together, right? So I love the fact that you guys are focused on your last name. And that's what it seems like to me, because you guys were taught that, right? You guys was able to benefit off of that. And I think that's a powerful thing. So I wanted to capitalize on something you guys talked about and get some more information about it. you said that it's a buzzword, real estate, and it is. Anytime I'm at a barbecue, anytime I'm somewhere and somebody says he does real estate, it's a crowd around me, right? And I used to like it in the beginning because, like I said, Michelle always laughs about this. Like, I didn't go to college, I didn't get the best grades and stuff like that. So when I decided to go into real estate, like, I really shined, I made good money, I did all these things. So I was so proud of it, and I did want to share the information, the education that I had. But then when I found out it was just like kind of cool or a buzzword and people didn't really want to put the work in, or people were scared to take a loss, or people, it's like, oh, you think you just make money just like that in real estate, huh? Like, it's just sweet and everybody would do it. So I want to speak more to that, right? So the pros and the cons, like what you guys have learned that, all right, well, we do have an investment. Like I mentioned to you guys, I feel like you guys have a piggy bank sitting on there on Jasper Street, right? You can't crack it open yet, but you have a piggy bank sitting there. You have a piggy bank right where you're at now. So what are the pros and cons? What was your expectation to more to what was realistic?
So I think I would kind of fall into that category of people who are like, oh yeah, you're in real estate, you're making money,
Right.
But I think I more myself as a realist, so I obviously knew there was way more work involved. Actually doing it and being a part of it though, there's a ton of things that we kind of just learn, well, we had to learn along the way.
Right.
A ton of things, and just to randomly name things,
Right.
Like getting stuff through what was it called,
Like the permit.
the permits.
Yep.
Permits. Getting loans, using other people's money.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Those are things that are not just like, here's this information. I mean, it is, but you kind of have to go in search of it. I'll even go as far as to say, like Chanel was like the spearhead
Right.
of all this stuff. So I learned a lot, just from her, but also just being in the background or whatever, and just making sure that I was retaining some of this information as she was like figuring it out and seeing all of it come to fruition. So that's definitely, I don't know if that's like a pro or a con, but it's definitely something that if you're into real estate, there are a ton of things that you're going to have to learn in order to progress forward. I'm not sure if it's necessarily like if things will change in terms of what I assume like the structure is kind of the same. Once you do it, you just kind of continue to follow that formula again. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of things that you just need to get up to speed and quickly.
Right. It's experience, right?
Yeah. I think our pros definitely outweighed our cons because we had you like kind of holding our hands through everything. So I think if anything, that would be the take home. If you never done this before, like have like a mentor that is in the process.
Get you a journal.
Yeah, literally, like when we sat down with you, it's just listening. Like everything that you told us, we just did what you told us. Because if we would have tried to do this by ourselves, I'm sure we would have ran into way more things because we don't know anything. So like from everything from starting off with the hard money lender and the little pros of wisdom about like making sure you just don't give your money without making sure you establish the communication with the contractor. And I think in terms of going into it and expectations, like if you're going into real estate, like seeing these stars, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just have $1 million and that's all you're seeing, you're gonna set yourself up because really it seems like it's proportional that the amount of money and time that you put in is going to proportionally increase with what you get out of it. So, we understood like, okay, you helped us find a property that was in an up and coming area. We could have took our chances and found like any area, but I'm sure it probably would have been like more work. But there was like developments going around where our place was, which meant our property was a little bit higher with the price tag, but what was coming out of it, was going to be worth it in the end. It was like a guaranteed nest egg, as you said. So.
Right, beautiful. And I want to actually piggyback on that because to be transparent, I wish I could have did more. There's things that so I'll put put it this way. There's people out there that have courses, right? And just text, right? And video and stuff like that. And you guys going through the experience, how far you think you could have got through, like, with just video and text of this actual experience?
It's totally different than actually doing it. And the only reason I know that is because I have, let's see, like a ton of photography videos or whatever, but
Right.
I could watch those things all day long, but it doesn't translate into you actually are doing it and, you know, doing it a lot. So
Absolutely. So that's one level. And then it's we're kind of where we at, you know. It was more so if you call me, if you text me, email, you know, I could help. I definitely was on the job as far as locating the property for you guys. But you know, during there, it was some things that, you know, I wasn't physically there, right? I you know, I wasn't there all the time as I could help you guys. And there's certain people that I've, you know, believe it or not, I flew out. They paid me to fly out, and I had to walk them through for 2 weeks or 3 weeks of a certain process, and they would do those things. So I say that to say this: real estate comes with experience, and it's something that I can control within my own business, right? I can't control everything that happens. So I never want to tell anybody as a coach, I can control everything that can happen. But what I do know is I have enough experience and see things. If I'm involved, I can see something coming. I can know about the verbiage. I can know about how things are leaning or how they're working, that we need to move this way, or we need to change this up. Because real estate is about, and everything is about adjustments. When you are not, they say in the playoffs, that's when coaching comes involved, right? In basketball, because they say before that, it's just talent. So after that, it's strategic. So you have to adjust each game to win, right? And that's when the coaching comes involved. It's a day-to-day thing when things get critical. It's not about what you don't know. It's about when an emergency happens, how quick it can be solved, right? So that comes with experience. And now that's another thing that I feel like you guys have. You have a whole lot of experience. Like, believe it or not, you have a little experience. You have as much experience as me, but you have a way much more than the average person that's reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad every day and stuff like that. I guarantee you, because you guys have physically went through it, right? And your emotions was attached to it. So you remember things, right? When your emotions are attached to it, you remember things. So you guys are going to understand, you guys know about the permit process. You guys know, which they don't put in books, like, well, in Philadelphia during COVID, it took this long for this thing to happen, right? It took this long for, no. You think you're going to do it in 3 months. Let me tell you, if you do it in the winter time, it's going to be like this. If you do it in the summertime, and those are distinctions that only experience can bring. And it helps people mitigate as coaches do, or anybody that invests for you on a high level. They never say they guarantee anything. They say they help mitigate your loss. So they help you make it smaller, whereas though you won't, because you might have lost it all if you were, not to say you guys, but just anybody could have lose it all if they just go out there with no experience, no coach, right? So number one, I commend you guys, because I know going through your first time, and I mean, you guys were on it. Like, you guys were on it. Even when you text me and you call me, you guys would definitely follow up on everything. You were on Q. You were guys on the hard money company. We had those tough conversations about hard money companies and figuring out what to do when we didn't like the hard money company we were with, and if we wanted to switch it up and stuff like that. So it's all about adjusting, and adjusting quick, not adjusting late, whereas though you're missing money, because every day is money in real estate, right? So like I said, I commend you guys for that. So the other question I wanted to ask you guys is that now that you guys are in the game and that you are investing, how likely is it that you'll invest in another property? Or if you wanted to do the same strategy, and I wanted to say something about what David said was, no, you don't always do it the same way. It's literally 30 different strategies in real estate, and sometimes you pick the one that's best for you. So flipping might not be best for you. Buying and holding might not be best for you. Wholesaling might be best for you. Estates. So it depends on what your strategy is. So I guess that's two questions. How likely are you to do it again? How soon? And would you use the same strategy, or would you want to switch it up?
So I kind of like touched on it briefly. We are already doing it again. So we live in like an area where we have our 2-year-old son, and then we have another baby on the way in March, and daycares are so expensive. So the things that we looked at was, in our current house, we had the option of either expanding the space that we have, like building a 3rd floor. And then the other option was buying another house. So, not to get too off topic, but when you have kids, you're thinking about school districts and taxes and all that other stuff.
It's all on top. This is all on top.
Yeah. So we were like, okay, maybe it might be better for us to move, because in our neighborhood, unfortunately, the daycares are just crazy. So what will work out for us here is, this is totally different way, but still like investing different than what we did with our other property. So we have a few things that we're fixing up, but because of the neighborhood, once we're able to rent this place out, it'll actually pay for the mortgage of our new home. So that just made sense for us, because now we can afford, cheaper daycares in the suburbs. And also we'll have this continued passive income between 2 properties now. And if it comes out that we don't get anybody to move here, we could just sell them both. But no.
You're getting somebody to move there. I know where you guys live. You guys are getting somebody to move there.
Yeah.
And
so
I also want to say
a little bit less. So
right, got you. I also want to say, and also commend you guys. I think that was a genius move. And I can't take no credit for it. Y'all didn't ask me about it at all. I think that's exactly what I would advise you guys to do. Above all, even when you guys, I don't know if you guys remember when you guys were talking about adding that thing and talking to Q, and I was like, y'all really want to do that? But I just be trying not to. Yeah, I don't try to direct people, unless they ask me. Because, at the end of the day, it's people's lives, it's their decision, and you don't want to be held accountable for their decision. You just want to be able to guide if they need, right? And sometimes I jumped out there before. I'm like, yo, you should. And I was adamant. It was like, you told me to do that. Like, I wasn't even thinking that. I'm like, unless you wasn't thinking it, I just want, if somebody's already going to Florida, I'm just going to let them know the route, right? You was already going to go to Florida. So I as a professional, I learned to do that a little bit more. But that is a genius move, guys. I think it was brilliant. You already own a property. And once again, you guys did something that's genius. You mitigated your risk. So instead of buying a whole new property and trying to figure out what that has in store for you guys this time, and if you want to deal with it, you're dealing with a property that already has value in it, that you already comfortable with, that you don't have to pay, that you already have a mortgage on. I mean, it's a brilliant decision. And then I also thought you guys should have moved to suburbs anyway, because your family's growing and there's not a lot of space to run around there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though it's a high-end area that you're in. So it just made sense all the way around the board. So I think it's a great move. I'm going to talk to you guys more whenever you get a chance about 1031 exchange. If you guys know about that, taking equity out of your properties that you have already with no tax, you don't get taxed on it, and it goes directly into another property.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Absolutely, because you guys have 3 properties now, so you have equity in them, and you don't get taxed. You don't get that capital gains tax that everybody dreads, where you have to hold it for 2 years and all stuff like that. You can take all the money out and put it directly into an investment property and keep on rolling. So that's something I'll share with you guys. But like I said, I think that was a genius move. So lastly, I'll end with this, right? Now that you guys have multiple properties and that you are basically investors, I mean, not even basically, you guys are investors. You have more than one property that you do not live in. So what would you tell somebody that's trying to get into the game? Like, what to expect, being a mom. That's why I said everything's on top of being a father, having a 9 to 5. Like I want to pinpoint everybody's life is different. So depending on what your life is and what you're trying to get out of, you might want more time with your kids, or you might want to, do certain things, and you guys have your own plans. You do your own pillow talk and you have your own plans. So you know what you want to do, and it might not be like anybody else. So what would you, advise other people that want to get in this game?
I think I would advise them to definitely get a mentor,
right?
Somebody, such as yourself, who is going to guide them in the way that they should be going to get things done. There's just so many moving parts, and I'm sure that all this would have happened with or without your help, but we'd probably be still in like stage one or something like that, or maybe just getting done with stage one if we didn't have your help and your guidance. So that part is very important. That's what I would tell somebody, is just to find somebody who would be able to give them good information and guide them on the decisions that they want to make in terms of real estate. Obviously, you're going to have to do your research. I know that's like a cliche thing to say, but definitely do your research, which Chanel and I were doing for a while we were talking to you, just trying to learn stuff about this because we were serious about it. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, and I think to add to that too, there is some component of financial discipline because, we did a lot of stuff before we started investing. Not to say that you'll be like broke, but you just changing your priorities. So like we were traveling a lot, like we've been to like different countries and eating out like at least once a week and everything. And when you're investing, that investment is coming from somewhere. So, sometimes you may, like for our personal experience, we just had to kind of change our lifestyle. Like, all right, we don't need to go out every week if we're trying to buy another house. And then the other part too with that is making sure, like, I mean, you probably definitely know more about this, but it was easy for us to have all these properties and use other people's monies because of our credit scores. So we were, making sure we stay on top of our finances, like we don't have any like balances on our credit cards, and just being like financially disciplined because we know like the end goal. We need to set a picture up like, hey, lender, we are actually responsible. We keep low balances. We pay stuff off on time. And that allowed them to be like, all right, here, take our money. So I think that helps too.
Yes. And I completely agree. I would say the learning from a mentor is definitely key. And I'm big on, I think I just did a live about it, and more so about perception. I always want to kind of put that out there because, I don't drive a Benz, right? I'm still in the property that, the investment property that I brought when my son was first born. We got it as a pre-foreclosed $77,000. Now me and Michelle are about to move into something in the next 2 years that might be impressive, but right now I'm not, and I still have that information. I still do those things. So it's like, there's a lot of people that I know for a fact that, driving that Benz or leasing that business, doing stuff like that, and they get a lot of people with them, but they don't have the experience, they don't have the success in that area, and they also don't care. So I always put those three together, you know what I mean? Like, always test somebody, always test their knowledge. Ask them questions. Don't just go off a lifestyle. Don't go about them traveling a lot. Don't go off of them being very good with words. See if they really understand. See if they're reputable in that area. So a mentor is huge. And then being financially disciplined, once again, one of my biggest issues that I had to get over as a real estate investor is I really, really love investing, and I can care less about like how much money I got until I get it back. And I had to change that when I had kids because I don't mind being on oodles and noodles if I know, like, if I make 40, like if I got 50,000, I make 50,000, I'll invest 45,000, like right back. And I might not get that back for like 3 months, but like that bring the hustle out of me. Like, yeah, gotta get that back. And then Pico call and Pico out for a second. I'm like, I got money. But then when I get that double up, I get like 80,000. But then I'll be like, I had a habit of doing it again. So it's like, I had to learn to be disciplined because it's like, why am I always broke? But I'm not broke. But it's like, I was growing things, but you have a lifestyle that you have to keep up. And to your point, to a lot of people, you cannot walk around with buying 5 Jordans a week, and buying all the clothes you want and getting all the shoes you want and getting these Birkin bags and going to Miami and doing all this stuff that you might have did between 17 and 24, right? But you can't do that if you're really trying to focus on your last name and build real value, and have things that are real, like really going to gain money at the end of the day, be a nest egg, be passive, be able to create that wealth that you guys are really looking for. So you don't want to be a consumer as much. So I love that you said that. It's not that you can't be a consumer, but you end up being an investor mind. So you're always thinking of how to leverage things, and money is to be used and to come back. And you start getting in that habit more like, all right, well, this is not going to come back for anything unless when I buy this suit, it's the tax write-off. And you start thinking about that now. Like, all right, well, I'm buying these shoes under the business because I had to teach somebody something, right? So you start learning all that stuff, but at least your mind start working in the right way. Whereas though it's like, all right, when you're buying the stuff that you might not need as much, it's a reason for it now. And it's all financial, right? So I really appreciate you guys hopping on this Zoom call with me. This is something new that I'm really trying out because I really want the education out there. But I think it's not robbery to share that the average person ordinary people doing extraordinary things, I would say. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And I believe I have a whole circle of those individuals and I see them each and every day, but they're not highlighted, right? And they're more practical because I'd be like, it's somebody I met with a couple days ago. And I'm like, dang, you should meet the Criswells. Like you should really talk to them. And it's like, y'all not coaches, but it's just really to somebody that's like, they went through the experience and it's like, y'all a little too hype right now. Like I really be wanting to calm people down. Like, but it's like, wait, you don't want me to work with you? I'm like, no, I just want you to be realistic when you come in this thing. You get what I'm saying? And then it just makes my job easier when somebody is realistic when they come into it because now they know that, all right, well, I'm in real estate and I'm gonna make 30,000 because I literally told you, and I say this on the video, I said, like, you guys can make this much. But I said, worst case, you can make this much. And in the worst case, you can rent this thing out and do this, right? Yeah. If somebody say, hey, guarantee you're making 50K, run, guaranteed. Because y'all seen all the stuff that happened that y'all know I couldn't control. I can't control City Hall. I can't, and I'm aware of that. But what I did do, and which I don't do anymore, but I do for close friends, is I refer contractors or people, because contractors will make or break you, that I feel like I can lean on a little bit more and I got leverage more that won't say, hey, go to hell. You know what I mean? And just not answer my phone call either. Like, at least it's somebody that I'm like, all right, it's really getting crazy. Let me knock on their door. Like, and I was able to refer somebody like that to you guys. So I was happy I was able to do that and that you guys were able to still ask me questions and call me whenever you needed. So I'm so glad that things worked out for you. I have a vested interest in you guys because it's fam, right? So, I mean, I want you guys to win in general. I want us as a people to win, but you know what I mean? I met your son, like we've been at events together and stuff like that. So it's like, it's going to be an ongoing thing. So as we grow, I want to be on that beach with you guys and busting it up about the first flip. And after you guys have 5 other properties. So that's the goal. You know, other people I might not see ever again. Right. But I intend on busting it up with you guys about it, man. I'm so happy that you guys won.
Yeah, we appreciate you so much for your time. And like, I feel like we wouldn't even be where we are had you not planted those seeds and given us that knowledge. And we're very grateful. So thank you.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. Be great. Well, yeah, I appreciate you guys. And I'm gonna wrap this up now. But what I would end up saying was, like, anybody that you guys run into, you know, share this information. And I always put that out there, especially our people. Make it realistic, but encourage them and say, listen, just be prepared. Like, just everybody's, like, I always use marriage. Like, you guys are kicking butt at marriage, right? You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, but it's pros and cons to marriage, but it's still saying, like, hey, what you would tell somebody is like, it's not all sweet, but it's worth it. And I think that's the message. It's definitely worth it. It's a risk that you need to take. You have to be out there because that's the only way you're going to grow. So I appreciate you guys' time. Happy Sunday, and you guys take care.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right.
Bye.